From losing everything to ego, to losing everything to addiction, here are 5 times celebrities lost it all. Starting with a viral legend whose fall was just as sudden as his rise, Welvin the Great. In 2014, Welvin's next-door neighbor began filming his quirky personality on Instagram. With his unusual voice, unfiltered confidence, and offbeat charm, Welvin quickly grabbed people's attention, especially when he started bragging about his imaginary romantic life that didn't quite exist.
No, but she love this. She want this fun-ass motherfucker.
It was all lighthearted until NFL player Orlando Scandrick saw this video.
My girl just called me. She want me to go see her. I'm going to her house, then I'm going to get it in.
Jokingly, Orlando left a comment, "You ain't getting none, my man," which sparked a response from Welvin, a comeback that would go on to become one of his most iconic phrases.
The homie said you ain't got no bitches. Who don't got no bitch? He said I don't.
The clip began to trend. Even Orlando's girlfriend, Drea Michelle, reposted it to her 3.5 million followers. And just like that, Welvin blew up.
When Drea posted him, it was like a frenzy. 3.5 million followers. He had 20,000 likes, 11,000 comments in 28 minutes.
And a few days later, Welvin uploaded another video that changed his life overnight.
Cause some came in the mail today. Deez Nuts. Got him! Got him!
The video was everywhere. It exploded on Vine, YouTube, and meme pages across the internet. Even celebrities were quoting him.
Deez Nuts. Got him!
Okay, 2 pickups for you, Snoop.
Oh, I know what my 2 pickups are.
Which one?
Deez Nuts.
In just weeks, Welvin was approaching 1 million followers.
Welvin, you're almost at 1 million followers on the gram, is that correct? 953,000 followers, Welvin.
He'd gone from unknown to icon in just a few days. He started getting paid for club appearances, even performed on stage with Kendrick Lamar. He sold phone cases, socks, clothes, and even announced more projects they were working on.
I got a video game coming out.
The Life of Welvin the Great, but we're trying to shop to see if we can get an actual reality TV show for him.
But while Welvin was making money, he had stopped creating new content. The Deez Nuts meme became his only trick. And slowly, the internet moved on. His early charm faded into fatigue.
Do you have any other new catchphrases? I'm gonna let you finish.
Struggling to handle the pressures of fame, Welvin turned to alcohol. He began drinking during podcasts, on the streets, and nearly every new video and picture of him showed a man in decline. It's sad, he looks like he was hanging around wrong people and they gave him crack. His teeth are brown like he's using them. However, while fans were happy to take pictures with him whenever they saw him, everything was falling apart behind the scenes. Welvin's manager, the same person who helped run his Instagram, had allegedly locked him out of the account.
I need a whole new manager now. The one I have, he just like fucked me all over.
And also what you...
money in that.
Without a manager, without Instagram, and with no new content, Welvin's career came crashing down.
What's the deal, bro? What's the deal with you, bro? Pick your ass over here, blood. What's happening, blood? What's the deal? You straight? Let me get a hug.
I thought you was like trying to hurt me.
Nah, man, I ain't trying to hurt you.
He was spotted blacked out in the streets multiple times, and rumors of him being homeless began to spread. This led to the final video on his channel, titled "Stop the Rumors," where his cousin tried to clear the air.
You know, I wish all these rumors would stop, and I wish you guys would just leave Welvin alone. He has a family that loves and wants to take care of him, but Welvin chooses to go off for days at a time.
However, Welvin has a second Instagram account, and recently he's posting videos and pictures suggesting he's doing well and now in good hands, which made his fan leave a comment like this: "This is gonna be the greatest comeback we've ever witnessed. Jump on the stream train, bro. Wish you nothing but the best. Stay blessed." Without a doubt, everyone is rooting for Welvin to make a great comeback. But the same can't be said for Salt Bae, who turned his fame into something far more unbearable. Nusret Gökçe, the man who turned a sprinkle of salt into a global empire, but lost it all to ego. He started as a kid from a poor Turkish village. Forced to leave school at 13 to support his family, Nusret worked grueling 13-hour shifts at a butcher shop in Istanbul. In 2007, he scraped together a $3,400 loan and traveled across the world to study the steak industry. 3 years later, he returned to Turkey and opened his first restaurant. It was a humble beginning, just 8 tables and a small team, but the food and service were so exceptional that they caught the attention of Turkish billionaire Ferit Şahenk, who backed his expansion across the Middle East. By the end of 2016, Nusret was already a successful restaurateur, but what happened next would change everything. On January 7th, 2017, Nusret posted a short Instagram video of himself slicing meat and sprinkling salt in a theatrical pose. The clip exploded. It quickly gained millions of views. Overnight, Salt Bae became one of the most recognizable internet personalities on the planet. Athletes mimicked his moves on live TV. He was interviewed, idolized, and imitated around the world. He capitalized fast, opening luxury steakhouses in New York, London, and Dubai, where the menu featured things like a $100 burger, a $10 can of Red Bull, and the infamous $1,800 gold-plated tomahawk steak. But behind the sparkle, the cracks were already showing. While he was focused on money, expansion, and impressing the wealthy, he lost the quality that once attracted them. His London steakhouse earned just 2.9 stars on TripAdvisor, with half of the reviews calling it terrible. His New York burger joint, labeled the worst restaurant in the city. Critics slammed the food as rubbery, bland, and overpriced, but Salt Bae didn't care. He leaned deeper into the persona, bragging on Instagram, flaunting $100,000 receipts, posting shirtless workout videos, and acting more like a celebrity than a chef. He believed the myth that the brand was him. And while the world watched his highlights behind the scenes, things were starting to burn. Literally. In September 2018, a fire stunt at one of his restaurants went horribly wrong. Flames shot out of control, injuring 4 diners, including Czech influencer Tynush Třešničková, who suffered third-degree burns across 35% of her body. Salt Bae never apologized. The very next week, he was seen serving a luxury meal to Venezuelan dictator Nicolás Maduro, at a time when millions in Venezuela were starving. As the country faced a historic famine, Salt Bae posted videos of Maduro feasting on steak and puffing cigars. The backlash was immediate. Protests broke out at his US locations. He quickly deleted the footage, but once again refused to apologize. Then came the biggest blow to his carefully crafted image. In 2023, a Business Insider investigation exposed the disturbing reality behind Salt Bae's restaurants, a toxic empire built on exploitation and abuse. Former employees described him as a petty tyrant with a god complex, obsessed with fame, drunk on power, and completely out of touch. Staff were allegedly fired for minor slip-ups, breaking a glass, wearing the wrong shirt, or simply asking questions. Some were forced to stage fake customer lines or sleep inside the restaurant during protests without overtime pay. Multiple lawsuits followed, alleging tip theft, wage deductions, and outright harassment. This led to viral comments like, "No one likes you, bro. Your ego, greed for money and fame, and the way you treated your staff showed the world who you truly are." Salt Bae's empire began to crumble. His US restaurants started shutting down. His London branch saw a 50% drop in profits. Even his Dubai flagship began to struggle. And his once massive social media presence was now in steady decline. And then came the final humiliation. At the 2022 FIFA World Cup final, Salt Bae breached stadium security, interrupted player celebrations, and awkwardly grabbed Lionel Messi for a selfie. He even held the World Cup trophy, a moment meant for champions, as if he'd earned it, which immediately made FIFA ban him from all future events. And in June 2025, he was publicly kicked out of the Champions League final after-party while trying to sneak in. He went on to make a post about it, claiming he was only there to meet his fans. However, it seems the internet is not giving him a second chance, since he's still getting comments like, "Don't touch the World Cup again," on his recent posts, even after 2 years of the incident. Salt Bae lost everything to his ego, but Andrew Hales' story shows that even the most humble influencers can lose everything too. He started posting prank videos on YouTube as early as 2012. In just 2 weeks, his first 2 videos pulled over 60,000 views each. By the time he uploaded his 9th video, he was already being talked about on the news.
What would you do if a total stranger came up to you in public and tried to hold your hand? Well, a group of guys found out and posted the results on YouTube.
Andrew wasn't just funny, he was relatable, awkward, mellow but confident. A strange mix that made people click and stay. And before Mr. Beast made generosity go viral, Andrew was already making videos like tipping servers $200, paying for people's groceries. And in just 18 months, he had already maxed 1 million subscribers. But at the peak of his growth, the genre that built his fame began to break him. Fake pranksters started to dominate the algorithm. Andrew responded with satire, uploading obviously staged content to mock these fake channels. However, behind the scenes, he was burning out, isolated, depressed, as his most creative era came with darkness.
I called my mom and she didn't pick up, and my dad and he didn't pick up, and I hadn't seen like any of my friends in a month or so, and I just felt like no one cared about me.
But fans respected him more for it, leading to comments like this on his videos. Seems strange seeing someone just sitting down and being open on YouTube. Pretty nice, honestly. Andrew's ability to just keep it real and say vulnerable things out loud transparently is incredibly endearing. Inspiration to be more open. His openness in his videos only made people love him more, but that love wasn't enough to keep him in the genre.
Can't do them anymore. They're all the same to me, and it's just really boring. It's making me depressed, and I don't know, I just need to try new stuff.
He actually tried something new, a sit-down interview series called Chatting With, which instantly became a success and was getting millions of views. But then COVID happened and wiped out all his interview plans. With no backup strategy, Andrew spiraled and started posting random skits and reaction videos.
The channel's been dying. I've been pretty lost this year. It's been a very humbling year, definitely.
When he came back to the Chatting With series, views had plummeted, and by then, Andrew had picked up a few dangerous habits.
March, April, in quarantine, watching movies, smoking weed, drinking. It was awesome, but also depressing.
However, it kept getting worse as he uploaded a video titled Credit Card Debt, where he revealed he already owed over $50,000 on his credit cards. At some point, he moved out of Los Angeles to a more affordable area and sold some of his equipment to cover his debt.
I had a 70D and a Canon 5D and 2 SM7Bs, and I just sold it all, and that paid off one credit card.
He'd also upload another video, admitting he hadn't managed his money wisely.
I partied too much, and I got lazy and less focused and didn't upload as much. Didn't manage my money wisely. I traveled a lot. I went to Russia, Japan.
Even in his lowest state, Andrew was still honest, and most importantly, willing to rebuild from scratch as he'd go on to get a local job.
So I got a job. It's with this company called Amazon. It'll be like my first job in about 10 years.
He had the job for a few months and even tried other jobs. However, he returned to creating content with his new series doing pretty well. Andrew was able to rebuild from zero, just like Robert Downey Jr., with the only difference being that Robert didn't just hit zero, he went far below that. Before he became Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. was just a kid growing up in New York, with the odds stacked against him from the start. His father was an underground filmmaker who would just throw Robert into his indie movies. But what really shaped Robert's early life wasn't acting. It was something far darker. His dad, as an addict, kept the house stocked with drugs and alcohol, and by the time Robert was 7, he was already hooked too. But even while spiraling in private, his talent in front of the camera was undeniable. He landed roles outside his dad's productions, even joining SNL for a season. And in 1992, he delivered a jaw-dropping performance as Charlie Chaplin, a role that earned him an Oscar nomination and cemented him as one of Hollywood's rising stars. But behind the fame was a growing storm. By the mid-90s, Robert had moved on from weed and alcohol to heavy substances. In 1996, he was caught driving around Los Angeles completely under the influence. When officers pulled him over, they discovered he was naked and hallucinating. However, he was let go without arrest. But just weeks later, he was pulled over again, this time with drugs and a loaded pistol in the car. He was then arrested on the spot. Meanwhile, not long after, while out on bail, he was heading home, again very high on those substances. He mistakenly entered someone else's house thinking it was his. When the homeowner noticed a stranger sleeping on his bed, he called the cops on him. It was official. Robert Downey Jr. had become Hollywood's cautionary tale. He was the butt of every late-night joke, from Oscar-nominated prodigy to a walking disaster. Even his friends were worried. At one point, Sean Penn flew him to rehab, but Robert escaped after just a few days, only to go back to his old ways. But then came the final straw. In 1999, he missed a mandatory drug test, and the judge had heard enough. Robert was sentenced to 3 years in prison. When he got out, he was broke, unemployable, and blacklisted. Studios wouldn't touch him. He couldn't get insured, which meant he couldn't be cast in anything major. He lost his home, his car, and his career. But then, in 2003, he landed a small role in a horror film, which he even had to give up his entire paycheck for, just to cover the insurance premiums that came with casting him. But that job introduced him to a producer on set who would later become his wife. They fell in love, and through her help, Robert became committed to therapy. By 2004, Robert Downey Jr. was finally clean. But even then, Hollywood still didn't trust him. Until one person did, Jon Favreau. In 2006, Favreau was casting for Iron Man, and he was so convinced that Robert was the best fit for Tony Stark. But the studio heads disagreed. They didn't want to risk the future of Marvel on a recovering addict. However, Favreau fought for him, and Robert proved he was all in, even agreeing to a fraction of the usual salary just to prove he was serious. And the gamble paid off. Iron Man premiered in 2008 and exploded, earning over $500 million and launching the MCU. Robert Downey Jr. went from washed-up ex-con to one of the highest-paid actors on the planet. But not everyone gets that kind of redemption. Some lose everything and don't even see it happening. Just like Aaron Kyro, who built Braille Skateboarding from scratch to being the most successful skateboarding channel on YouTube by 2016, he started out posting simple skateboarding tutorials in the early days of YouTube
to teach you guys to progress on your boards so you're having more fun on your boards.
This clear purpose earned him hundreds of thousands of subscribers in just a few years and helped create a loyal community of skateboarders. By 2013, he brought on a team of 4 other passionate skateboarders, and they were uploading twice daily, which turned Braille Skateboarding to beast mode. They were skating bizarre objects like iPads, MacBooks, surfboards, keyboards, even flat-screen TVs. And all these were racking up tens of millions of views. They opened the Braille House, their own skate park turned studio where they filmed most of the content. And by 2017, Braille had over 3 million subscribers.
You guys are the best, the absolute best. Because we just hit 3 million subscribers.
The channel was growing, but behind the scenes, something else was growing too. Aaron was becoming deeply involved in Scientology.
My name is Aaron, I'm a skateboarder, and I'm also a Scientologist.
He'd also credit his success to Scientology.
The thing that happened before Scientology and after was I was learning tricks a lot easier.
But while the team was working for around $20 an hour, Aaron was pouring massive sums into Scientology. He was taking several Scientology courses which were quite costly, all approximating over $750,000. In 2019, Aaron earned Gold Meritorious, a donor status given to people who have donated over $1 million to Scientology. In 2021, he told the team he was going to business school and was gone for nearly 2 years. Then, a video surfaced. Aaron Kyro is the new leader of Scientology in San Francisco. It turned out he was just completing more Scientology coursework while others ran the channel in his place. In the process, 3 of his team members announced they were leaving Braille Skateboarding.
In that time, this guy started quitting. Mowgli, Uzi, JD. And then when Gabe was the final straw.
By the time Aaron finally returned, everything had changed. Views were dropping. Morale was at an all-time low. But then came the final blow. Braille House was being shut down, and in a last-ditch attempt to save it, he turned to his audience.
Anything that you guys can give would be incredible. We're trying to raise $200,000. Anything that you can give would be so amazing.
However, the audience didn't comply, and instead he got comments like, "That $750,000 you spent to go up in a spaceship to heaven could have been spent better."
I was trying to negotiate with the landlords to get a break on the rent. This is a huge overhead, it's tons of money to have a warehouse, and we just could not come to an agreement. And then I got a letter from their lawyer that basically just said, "You have got to be out by July 5th.
And just like that, Aaron lost his skate house, the team that had been with him for a decade, and the channel that was once the best. He's still uploading, trying to recapture the magic. But the truth is, the real magic was never about weird boards or Scientology. It was the skaters, and they're gone.